Resident Evil is one of the most famous horror games of all time, but does the original 1996 PlayStation 1 release still hold up as scary today? Well, that's the question we're going to be answering in this video, but first, some context. Released in March 1996 for the PlayStation 1, developed and published by Capcom, Resident Evil wasn't just a hit, it essentially created the survival horror genre as we know it. Directed by Shinji Mikami, who would later go on to direct another game you've all probably heard of, The Evil Within, created a game that was an international bestseller and became the highest selling PlayStation game at the time. Praised for its graphics, gameplay, sound, and atmosphere, although it received some criticism for its dialogue and voice acting, but I mean, come on, everyone loves the voice acting and dialogue. You don't have to take my word for it. Check out the opening live action cutscene of Resident Evil.
Alpha Team is flying around the forest zone situated in northwest Raccoon City, where we're searching for the helicopter of our compatriots Bravo Team, who disappeared during the middle of our mission. No, I haven't found it yet. Bizarre murder cases have recently occurred in Raccoon City. There are outlandish reports of families being attacked by a group of about 10 people. Victims were apparently eaten. Bravo Team went to the hideout of the group and disappeared.
Look, Chris!
It was Bravo Team's helicopter. Nobody was in it. But strangely, most of the equipment was still there. However, we soon discovered why.
Hey! Come here! Run for that house!
And so it begins, the campy acting and dialogue that would go on to be a staple in the Resident Evil series. I personally love it. It makes me giggle, and in a game as dark and twisted as Resident Evil, sometimes a giggle is the one thing you need to continue your journey in the world of survival horror. Very important, at the very start of the original Resident Evil, you are given a deceptively simple choice: play as Jill Valentine or Chris Redfield, but this decision has real consequences on difficulty and how the game unfolds. Jill is often considered easy mode. She has more inventory slots, 8 versus Chris's 6, starts with a lockpick that skips some puzzles, and is frequently rescued by Barry Burton. This makes her campaign more forgiving, especially for first-time players. Chris, on the other hand, is hard mode. He carries less, can't use the lockpick, and has to rely on small keys to access areas. He also doesn't get Barry to bail him out, instead working alongside Rebecca Chambers, who plays a more limited support role. The story details and interactions shift depending on who you pick, giving the game extra replayability. In short, Jill's path gives you convenience and safety nets, while Chris's path ramps up the challenge and emphasizes survival tension, both shaping the horror in different ways. So we select Chris because we are a true gamer and we hate Barry Burton, thus begins that bizarre helicopter scene. We start with Alpha Team searching for their missing comrades in the Arklay Mountains. The grainy FMV footage, complete with awkward close-ups and dramatic freeze frames, was actually cutting edge for 1996, a game using real actors to sell a horror story. And then the dogs show up. The Cerberus attack is clunky by today's standards, the editing is frantic, the dogs clearly aren't as terrifying as they should be, but the idea of your elite squad being torn apart in the middle of nowhere hit hard at the time. And it's these dogs that help aid the first jump scare in the game, but more on that in a little bit. This is also where we meet the STARS team: Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Barry Burton, which we don't care about because he doesn't show up in Chris's playthrough, and the ever mysterious Albert Wesker. Their introductions are hilariously over the top, with each character's name and weapon shown in freeze frame glory. It's cheesy, yes, but it also sets them up as iconic, larger-than-life figures. When the survivors finally rush into the mansion, the tone shifts. The chaos of the forest gives way to the eerie calm of the mansion's foyer, the door slams shut behind them, and just like that, the game begins.
I don't know what happened.
Barry! Where's Barry?
Well, I'm sorry, but he's probably...
No. What is that?
I'll go and check.
Okay, Jill and I will stay in the hall in case of an emergency.
So after the intro cutscene, you're dropped into the mansion with the rest of your team. Right away, it's got that classic haunted house feel, big, echoey, and way too quiet for comfort. We lost Barry and hear a gunshot. Wesker sends us off to investigate, and that is when we're introduced to the very infamous door animations. They are incredibly long. There are so many of them. It's probably like a third of the whole game watching these animations alone. You can avoid them by playing the GOG version of the game, I believe. I believe they implemented a doorscape animation in the GOG version. We are not playing the GOG version, however, so we will suffer through them. We finally get to control the character, and it is here we are introduced to the tank controls. Up and down on the D-pad will move your character forward and backwards, while left and right turn your character. These controls aren't smooth or intuitive by today's standards. They're rather clunky and frustrating, but it adds a constant sense of vulnerability. Every fight feels tense, not because the enemies are unbeatable, but because your own movement is working against you. Combine that with fixed camera angles, and suddenly exploration itself becomes the horror. The mansion's cameras hide enemies around corners, forcing you to walk into the unknown. Sometimes you'll hear a zombie groaning before you see it. Other times you'll see its shadow before the monster itself. But you can also take advantage of these camera angles, like stopping just before a camera transition so you can shoot an enemy while at maximum distance. But shooting zombies costs ammo, a resource you don't have much of, so the unease never really goes away. We come across a grandfather clock and a wooden emblem. Remember these, they will be important later on. This game is the king of giving you something with little to no instructions, which I like. It encourages exploration and actually using your brain, which keeps you invested in the world. There is no yellow paint to take you out of the experience. There are no prompts. You press X to interact with things. So if you think it's interactable, simply press X on it. Again, it's not holding your hand, there is no tutorial, and you have to figure out the controls on your own. Exit the dining room into a hallway where you are blessed with this iconic scene. You can kill him with the knife, but I suck with the knife, so we run back to the lobby. Jill and Wesker are gone, but Jill's gun is on the floor, so we pick it up. This brings us to the game's inventory. Chris has 6 inventory slots. You can see that on the right side. We start with a combat knife and some first aid spray. We have the emblem from before, and now a pistol. Our inventory is almost filled up, and we are only 10 minutes into the game. Don't worry, this will be a recurring theme. Inventory management is a staple in Resident Evil, so it's to no surprise that the very first game contains that element, albeit a bit egregious. To equip or use an item, you select it and hit either equip or use. To inspect items, you select check, and to combine items, you choose the bottom option. This combined feature will be more important later on. So we select the pistol, equip it, and items equipped will be on the bottom middle of the screen next to our health condition. With the pistol equipped, let's run back to the zombie and put him down. When killing enemies, they can get back up when they fall down. To know they're actually dead, look for the blood spill animation when they fall over. Once an enemy is dead, it will remain dead for the rest of the game. This is another fantastic component to why the game never feels bad when backtracking. A lot of the time it's a lot faster to backtrack because these enemies remain dead. Excellent design, Capcom. The body the zombie was munching on was Kenneth from Bravo Team. Rest in peace, Kenneth, but searching his body will give you more ammo for your pistol. To reload, we open our inventory and combine the clip with the pistol. You can do this whenever you don't lose any unused ammo in your current clip that's in the gun. The doors in the hallway with that now deceased zombie are all locked, with one suggesting a carving of a sword. Heading back out to the lobby, you can see a typewriter. You may have noticed this before. These are where you can save your game, but in order to save, you need ink ribbons. I will not be covering ink ribbons because I will be using state saves. This will save us a bunch of time because every time you die, you get booted back to the main menu and you have to reload your last save, which maybe that adds to the horror a little bit, but we're not going to be dealing with it. If you open your inventory, there's a map button on the top right. Selecting this will open a map. Green areas are places you've been through already, the red is where you currently are, the darker areas are everything else you have not been to yet, and the yellow dots are doors. We go upstairs and find Forrest pecked to death by crows. You can get more ammo off his body, but be careful, crows will chase you afterwards. Don't try to fight them, they are incredibly difficult to shoot. This is also where I noticed how good the audio design was. The cawing from the crows is very scary and it generally makes your skin crawl when they get close. In the next hall we get grabbed by a zombie, kill him, and we find the room that contains the botany book about medicinal herbs. The green herb replenishes some health, the blue herb cures poison, and the red herb drastically increases those effects if combined with other herbs. We continue, kill some more zombies, and find the very first safe room. These rooms are a big sigh of relief and contain a typewriter to save and the storage box to store away various items. So we drop some stuff off, find a bag of chemicals, and continue exploring the mansion in search of survivors. We find a fireplace with a piece of paper on it. That can be important later on. This game is again the king of backtracking, but the level design is so well done that nothing ever feels like backtracking. You're excited to run back and solve the puzzle, and the game aids that by again not respawning enemies. Once they die, they stay dead. Exploring more of the second floor, we end up above the dining room from earlier. We kill a couple zombies and notice a statue holding something blue. We also notice a section where the balcony railing is missing. Wait, can we push the statue off the balcony? We try to push the statue off and hear a break below us. We will see what that statue is holding in just a bit. We are all out of ammo, another factor that drives the horror in this game. Because of this, we are forced to run past these zombies, and in the process, they spit on us and put our health state in the danger zone. First aid sprays heal you all the way up, so we use it. Heading downstairs on the other side of the mansion, we encounter a zombie, so we run the other way, where there's another zombie that forces us to go into a room. Excellent design by the devs here, using enemies to indirectly force us one direction. This room happens to be the second and final safe room for the mansion, and contains an iconic character.
Whoa! What is it?
What? Oh no! Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
You must be from the Bravo team.
Yes, I'm Rebecca Chambers. I'm a newcomer. I just joined the Stars Bravo team last month. Well, I'm really sorry. Are you all right?
Yes. I'm Chris Redfield from the Alpha team. Are you the only person here from the Bravo team?
Well, because the helicopter made a forced landing, I just ran into this house anyway, but I
see. There's nothing else you could have done anyway. It's good you're here.
Yes, sir. But it's strange. I serviced the helicopter recently, but something went wrong with the engine. It was such a short flight.
We find a mansion key on the bed, accept Rebecca's offer to help us, and keep exploring this mansion. It is very important that we accept her help here. If we do not, then our journey will be much more difficult. We will talk about this again when the time comes. This is also where the map is useful. You can use it to find areas you have not been to yet. We find a room with a fountain and a monster plant. The plant attacks you if you get close, but we see herbs on the other side of the plant, so we know there must be a way to get over there. Also in the room is a generator that runs to the fountain. The game tells us the lid is open. This tells us that there must be something we can do. Remember the chemicals we picked up from earlier? Let's use them on this generator. It kills the plant. We can now pick up the herbs. We also find another mansion key on the wall. Wait, didn't we just get a mansion key from the safe room? So we have two of the same key? Not quite. If you check the key and turn it, you will see a symbol. The one from the safe room has a symbol of a sword, and the one from the plant room has a symbol of armor. This is one of the first times the game introduces this inspect feature. It will be very important later on. Throughout the game, we have encountered locked doors. Some say it's locked, but we see a carving of a sword, helmet, or armor. So now we can open all the doors with a sword or armor carving, so let's go do that. We use a mansion key to unlock a bedroom. There's a book on the desk, but when we try to pick it up, we grab the Keeper's Diary, which is notable for its intimate description of a T-virus infection written by someone actually undergoing the process, and in the closet the zombie came out of contained shells for a shotgun. It is here where we realize we can get a shotgun. Across from the keeper's room is another room containing a statue of a tiger. It reads, "Some tigers have a red eye and a blue eye." Wait, remember that statue from before that was holding something blue? Let's go see what it was. With some clever level design, we pop back out to the original hallway just outside the dining room, go in and check the broken statue. Aha! It's the blue jewel. We run back to the tiger, get grabbed by a zombie on the ground because we suck, stomp on his head, and go into this tiger room. Sure enough, the jewel works, the statue turns, and we get a wind crest? Maybe it will be important later on. The spider's up here, fuck. Get out of here, spider. One thing you start to notice pretty quickly is that nothing in Resident Evil feels random. That green herb in the corner, you're gonna need it. That strange key you just picked up 2 rooms back, it'll unlock a door you haven't even seen yet. Everything has a purpose, and that's what makes you paranoid, because you're constantly wondering, did I just waste something I'll desperately need later? I don't know where you went, but I don't really care. We enter another locked room, and aha, we found the shotgun. Well, not quite. This is a broken shotgun. Why would the game give us a broken shotgun? Well, remember, everything serves a purpose, so we'll hold on to it for now. We find another room with a piano, and also in this room, part of the wall looks like it opens. Pushing a bookshelf reveals music notes. Chris, unfortunately, can't read music, but you know who can? Rebecca.
It's me, Chris.
Is that you, Rebecca?
Ah, it's the Moonlight Sonata.
Can you play?
Leaving Rebecca to practice, we go and explore the mansion some more. We have used up the mansion key with the sword carving, so we get the option to discard it. I love this feature because it tells you when a key has been completely used. You don't have to guess. If you still have a key in your inventory, then that means there is a door you have not found yet. Yeah, those dogs got me. Easily the first real jump scare of Resident Evil, and it works because the game had already planted them into your head during the opening FMV, the Cerberus dogs. You know they're out there, but you haven't actually fought one yet. So when that glass shatters with a deafening crack and they come flying through the windows, it's the perfect mix of surprise and payoff. Ugh, a bathtub full of muddy water? Do we really want to stick our hand in there? In Resident Evil, answer is always yes. And sure enough, we pull out a small key. We find another room that contains the real shotgun, we grab it, but as soon as we do, we hear this loud grinding mechanical clunk. That can't be good, so we place the broken shotgun in its spot instead. If we hadn't, the ceiling would have come crashing down on us. It's one of those classic Resident Evil moments where the game teaches you to respect traps just as much as the monsters. We find another locked room with a carving of a helmet, which is a key we don't have yet, and heading next door is a room with a lot of pictures and a lot of crows. The first picture says, "Give me peaceful sleep." The rest of the pictures depict a man in different stages of his life and offer the option to push a button. The final picture reads, "Give me the peace of death, and I'll give you the joy of life." This was a tough puzzle for me to figure out. In fact, it was the puzzle I was stuck on the longest in the entire game. With that, I won't spoil it. I will leave you to solve it. If you think you know the answer to this puzzle, then leave it in the comments. Curious to know if I'm terrible at riddles or if this was a poorly designed puzzle, probably the former. But solving the puzzle gives us another crest. So now we have 2 crests, but we don't know what to do with them. This is until we get to the next room in this hall and find an object that clearly holds those crests. So we try using the star crest, and sure enough, it works. But we need 3 more, one of which we already obtained from the tiger, the wind crest. It's in our storage, so let's go find the other 2 and then come back here. Here's a neat little Easter egg. If you try to leave through the front door of the mansion, this happens. I love touches like this. The devs knew players like me would absolutely try to open those doors. We hear Rebecca playing the piano, so we go to check on how her practicing has gone.
Oh, that was great.
In this room, we find a gold emblem, but the moment we pick it up, the door shuts behind us. Then we remember the wooden emblem sitting in our storage chest. So we grab it and swap it in, just like we did with the shotgun earlier. I love how the game keeps teaching you these little mechanics and then reuses them in clever ways. It makes you feel smart for noticing and reinforces the survival horror logic of the mansion. We take the gold emblem back to the dining room and put it where we originally got the wood emblem, and remember that grandfather clock that we said would be very important? Well, it just moved, and behind it contained another mansion key, this time with the carving of a shield on it. We use that to open a door where we find Richard from Bravo Team. Rest in peace, Richard. We find a closet, but it's too dark in there to loot anything. We open the final door of the shield key and enter the attic. All right, here we go. The first boss fight. And man, it's a mess, but in the best way. This giant snake is the Yawn. Huge and menacing, and even with all the careful exploration we've done, fighting a monster this big for a game created in 1996 feels insane. The mechanics are clunky, the tank controls, the fixed camera angles, and trying to aim at a target that's constantly moving make every moment tense. But that's part of why it's so memorable. For a game for 96 to throw you into a boss moment like this is super cool. We chip away at it, dodging bites and hitting it whenever we get a clear shot, and then, of course, it happens. We get poisoned. Our health state starts dropping fast, and guess what? No blue herb in sight, nothing to cure it. At this point, it feels like the game is legitimately about to kill us, and that tension is amazing. We finally get it to flee, leaving behind the moon crest, but we are still poisoned. Then, right as we're about to go down, Rebecca shows up. Classic save the day moment, and it's perfect timing. This fight shows you a lot about what makes Resident Evil's horror work. Limited resources, tense mechanics, and these high stakes encounters that make you feel both vulnerable and awesome for surviving. With Chris poisoned, we begin playing as Rebecca. The game shows us where we can get the cure for Chris, so we grab the clip off Richard and the green herb just to be safe and start making our way there. After defeating some zombies, we reach the room and get the serum. Giving the serum to Chris heals him from the poison, but we don't get the ammo or herb that we obtained while playing as Rebecca. This feels bad at the moment, but it's actually disguised as a brilliant game design choice. More on this in a bit. We unlock the armor room and see 2 drains and 2 statues. Well, these statues must cover the drains then. We do that and then push the button. This drains the tank and reveals the sun crest. Now that we have all the crests, we head back to where we placed the star crest from earlier. But before we do that, there is one more locked door that we can open. In here, we find a lighter. Well, remember that fireplace with the piece of paper above it and the closet that was too dark to see anything? Maybe this lighter can help us. We light the candle on the table by the closet and can now search the bookshelf. This gives us more shotgun shells. Making our way to the fireplace, this is where I begin to feel the flaws of the inventory system. Chris only has 6 slots to work with, which sounds fine at first, but as soon as you start picking up keys, ammo, herbs, and other random items, it gets tight fast. The upside? It adds a ton of tension. You're constantly juggling what you need now versus what you might need later. Do you carry that healing item or the extra ammo? Do you leave a key behind in your storage box, knowing you'll have to backtrack later? Every decision feels meaningful, and that really ramps up the horror because you're never fully prepared. The downside? It can also be incredibly frustrating. Having to constantly go back to safe rooms to swap items in and out can really slow down the pacing. It's a design choice that clearly prioritizes tension over convenience, and I get it, but it's one of those mechanics that will either make you love the game or drive you up the wall, depending on your patience level. Using the lighter on the fireplace will reveal the map of the second floor, and it is here where we realize how much more there is to explore in this mansion, but nothing we can access now. So we grab the crest and head to the guardhouse. With that door unlocked, we enter the next room. They set of stairs and a shelf on the wall. Push the stairs to the shelf and we grab a crank. Moving outside, we find water and can see a ladder under the water. Searching around, we find a square hole, so we try the crank. With that, we jump down the ladder, run past some snakes, and down this lift, and it's time to put the shotgun to work. Sorry doggos, but down here we see another lift, but it's missing a battery. So now, on top of looking for our friends, we also need to look for a battery. And there is a waterfall, and everyone knows when you play a video game and you see a waterfall, there must be something behind it. Let's keep that in mind. We enter the door to the new area, the dormitory. We hear that glorious safe room music, so we run in there immediately, organize our inventory, and then go on to search the rest of the dorms. We sprint past a hole in the floor, and naturally a plant reaches out and smacks us. Remember that armory puzzle from earlier where we placed the statues over the drain? Let's try the same trick here and put the statue over the hole. Perfect, now the plant can't reach us anymore. Next up, we come across another gross bathtub, drain it, and sure enough, there's another key waiting, the sea room key. Honestly, how these keys aren't draining with the water, not something we're going to worry about right now. We find a red book that's completely empty and a dorm key for room 002. Then bees chase us, and like the crows from earlier, we just run because they're way too hard to hit. Bees in a horror game definitely feel jarring, but they tell us two things. First, Umbrella, the company behind all this chaos, has been experimenting on any animal they can get their hands on, which is terrifying. And second, you never know what you'll face when entering a new room or area. The enemy variety in this game is impressive, and it really amplifies that uneasy feeling on the unknown, pushing the survival horror experience even further. In room 002, we find the map of the dormitory and the Plant 42 report. Plant 42 is one of Umbrella's most dangerous experiments. Created by Henry Sarton, the report tells us its roots are buried deep in the basement, feeding on chemical-rich water, while its vines spread throughout the dorm, attacking anyone who gets too close. So we know its vines are in the dorm somewhere, which is where we are, and its roots are in the basement. Pushing some bookshelves out of the way reveals a ladder, so we climb down to find a bunch of boxes and water that we can't get across. We push all the boxes into the water and create a bridge to cross the water. And don't worry, if you ever mess these puzzles up to the point of no return, which this box puzzle is one of them, you can simply leave the room and come back, and the puzzle will be reset. Thank you, Capcom. This helped me in a variety of puzzles. We enter a room full of water. Why is it full of water? Like I said earlier, enemy variety equals surprise and the fear of the unknown. Oh, and now aquaphobia. We found a plant root down here. This must be Plant 42. Maybe we can drain the water to kill it. We find the control room, so we use our sea room key to enter, and in here we can move a lever and this drains the water. Oh look, this must be the aquarium the sharks broke out of. Wait, the sharks, where are they? Well, they won't be a problem anymore. We found the dorm 003 key, so let's go unlock that room. This room contains the Vigil report, which tells us this concoction will destroy Plant 42, so the water redrain wasn't enough. There's also a bookshelf with a row of red books, and one is missing. We use the red book from earlier to place it in the missing slot, and this moves the bookshelf to reveal a door. So naturally, we go in.
Rebecca, no, it's no use. The roots of it are in the basement. You could... Whoa!
Chris!
Take this file with you. Use the information in it in order to make the potion. And kill the root. Rebecca, please.
With Chris captured, and because we allowed Rebecca to help us from earlier, we get to play as her again, and we must create this Vigil. Notice anything familiar? All the stuff that we had in her inventory from earlier is still with us. It's not lost after all. Thanks, game. The game also tells us where to go to create this, so we run to that room, but it's locked with this keypad. We take some wild guesses to unlock the door, and through some clever math and combinations, we create this Vigil. Now, to take it to the root. We use the serum on the root and it withers away. We run to exit the room and it seamlessly transitions us back to Chris. Excellent, we don't have to run all the way back. Wait, it's still not dead? After a few more shots, it finally dies. If we decided not to let Rebecca help us from earlier, then we'd have to run through a bunch more ammo, but with it dead, we search the fireplace to find another mansion key, this time with the carving of a helmet. But before we head back to the mansion, we get to have a very nice conversation with Rebecca. She gives us a radio, treats Chris. I'll leave that to your own imagination, and on our way out of the dorms, we hear gunshots and run into an old friend.
Wesker!
Chris, you're alive.
My words exactly. Where's Jill? Aren't you with Jill?
I'm sorry. We were attacked by a strange monster. I lost track of her while we were scouting around. I hope she's okay.
I see. Well, it's not your fault. This place is crazy. If we stay here, all of us will end up dead. What should we do, Wesker?
We have to complete this mission. Whether we escape or stay and look for Jill, we don't have many bullets left, and we can't even protect ourselves. We're still in trouble. Chris, there are a lot of locked rooms in that house. Check them out one more time. There must be a place to hide safely. I'll look around the house a little more.
Okay.
Let's get going.
We see some cool bug squishing effects, and upon entering the mansion, we meet one of the scariest enemies in the entire game. The Hunter. They are extremely powerful with claws on all four limbs and the ability to jump several meters in the air. These creatures will now replace the zombies in the mansion. They have two different forms of attack. They either swipe at your legs or jump and slash at your torso, which, if they're close enough, can go right over your head and result in an instant decapitation. We used the new key to unlock a door containing a red book titled Eagle of East, Wolf of West, and some magnum rounds. It is here where we learn there is a magnum in the game, and if you played Resident Evil before, you know how important the magnum is. It's one of the most powerful weapons in the entire franchise. These hunters take 4 shotgun shells. We need this magnum as soon as possible. Heading to the next locked door, we find spiders, so we run past them for now, but don't worry, more on spiders and arachnophobia in a bit. We open another locked room and find a file labeled Orders. Turns out someone within STARS, the very organization we're a part of, lured us here on purpose to gather research data. So, who's the traitor? The room also has some stairs and a light switch. Flip the lights off, move the stairs, and boom, there's a red jewel in the stag's eye. Aha, the tiger statue. Pieces of the puzzle are finally coming together, and it feels great. The design here is so carefully balanced, giving you just enough to chew on without ever overwhelming you. Using the red jewel on the tiger reveals the python. Excellent. The hunters shouldn't be an issue anymore. This will always one-tap them, and at the very worst, two-tap. We use this mansion key for the final time to enter a checkered floor room with a piano. Maybe this piano is like the one from before. Let's go touch it. Ah, nope. Just the yawn from before for another boss fight, subverting my expectations, Capcom. That wasn't so nice. This fight can be a real problem, especially if you run out of ammo. Now, apparently this whole game can be beaten with a knife only. Hats off to any of you that have done that, but luckily I have plenty of ammo, and as long as you keep your distance and keep moving behind his head, then it shouldn't be too big of a problem. After a few attempts, we kill it for good this time, and we go and inspect the hole it created. We push a button and a ladder appears, so down we go. And while we're climbing, let's take stock of what's left on our plate. We've got this mysterious red book that has to be useful for something. Jill is still missing. We need a battery, and we've got to figure out how to use the radio to call for help. Once again, Capcom gives us just enough to chew on without ever overwhelming us. Down in the basement kitchen, we disturb something in the shadows. Ah, just a zombie. A sigh of relief and a shotgun blast later, and we see some more clever level design at work. The door the zombie shuffles out of doesn't just push us forward, it loops us back to that very first hallway where we met the game's iconic first zombie. It's moments like this that make the mansion feel like a real interconnected space, rather than just a series of isolated rooms. Suddenly all that backtracking we've been dreading is easier, and the mansion feels more interconnected. It's moments like this that show how intentional and deliberate the level design really is. Going back to the kitchen, we find an elevator on the other side. This takes us to the library. From there, we find a room that looks out to a helicopter port. This is now our main mission. Get to the helicopter port. We can contact the other members from there. Also in the library, we come across a scrapbook. It's full of newspaper clippings, murders in the Arklay Mountains, people attacked by wild animals, all the strange events leading up to what we're living through right now. It's a neat way of tying the outside world back into the mansion, reminding us this nightmare didn't just start here. We do a quick puzzle to find a bookcase, and we find an MO disc. Inspecting it further, and we see it's for the door lock system. Not sure what we do with this now, but my guess is it will unlock an important door later on. Exploring more of this floor, and we find a closet that has some shotgun shells and a battery. We can now move the elevator in the courtyard. What's really impressive about Resident Evil 1996 is how it creates tension using completely static logic. Enemy placement and numbers are fixed, every zombie, dog, and hunter is hand placed by the designers, and stays dead once you kill them for good. Ammo and item placement is also fixed, carefully balanced so you never have too much, but never too little. This means the logic of killing enemies comes down entirely to trade-offs. Do you spend precious bullets now to make backtracking safer, or leave a threat alive and risk it later? The game doesn't adapt to how much ammo you have or how well you're doing, yet it manages to keep you constantly on edge. That balance, never feeling overpowered, never feeling completely hopeless, is part of why horror in this game works so well. Back in the garden, we place the battery to power the lift, we take the lift up, and we are back at the beginning of this area. That seems a bit reductive, but wait, what if we use the crank to stop the water and take this lift back down? With the water stopped, there's no more waterfall blocking this area. We find a ladder and head down into the caves. We find a flamethrower, but taking it locks the door, so we won't be able to leave this area with the flamethrower, so that means we should use it now. I unfortunately didn't put that together, so I wasted some precious ammo before I realized this, but it's another example of how the designers controlled resources and combat. You have to decide when and where to deploy it, knowing it won't be available later. Down in these caves, we find another member of Bravo team.
Enrico!
Don't come any closer, Chris.
Wait, what happened?
Double crosser!
Don't!
Hell. Umbrella.
Who is it? Is someone there? Double crosser? What did he mean by that?
Well, I think he means there's a traitor among us, Chris. Someone in the STARS organization is working for Umbrella, but who? We find another crate down here and use it on this hexagonal hole. It creates a nice path to a new door. In the new area, there's a boulder. Barely surviving the boulder, we find a double door that leads us to a giant spider, and we can finally put that flamethrower to work. The spider is known as Black Tiger, and it's not too hard to beat. It only really does two mechanics. It can spit 3 projectiles at you, and it can also do a slam attack. All you need to do is circle around it, avoiding its attacks, while slowly chipping away at its health with the flamethrower. Now, you can kill it with other weapons, but if you do, it will spawn little baby spiders when it dies. Using the flamethrower to kill it will cause those baby spiders not to spawn, but if they do, you could just leave the room and come back and they'll be gone anyways. The other doors are covered by the spider's web, but there's something shiny in the corner. We go to pick it up, and it's a knife. We use the knife to cut away at the web so we can access the door. This is a very neat mechanic, and the only time it is ever used in the entire game. I wish it was used more. We are still poisoned from the spider fight, so we sprint to the next safe room, and in here contains a first aid spray and a blue plant. Those will get rid of the poison and heals back up to full. We find another room with a puzzle. First, we push the statue up against the wall, then we use the crank to move the wall outward. This frees the statue so we can reposition it, crank the wall back into place, and now the statue can be moved onto the pressure plate to solve the puzzle. This gives us a blue book with the same title as the red book, Eagle of East, Wolf of West. We encounter another boulder, it flattens us, but behind that boulder is another MO disc, so now we have 2 MO discs for reasons we don't know. We take a lift up to find a fountain, and on that fountain is a picture of a wolf and a picture of an eagle. Wait, we've seen an eagle and a wolf mentioned before, the red and blue books. Inspecting those books, and we find an eagle and wolf medal. Let's slot these into the fountain. Alright, we're heading to the final area of the game, a staple in the Resident Evil series, the laboratory. The door to the helipad is locked, but the plate on the right tells us that it won't open unless under first class emergency. So let's descend into the lab and put this place under first class emergency. We find a third MO disc on a desk and descend even further into the lab. Down here we can see a new zombie type. Keep your distance from these guys. They are very slow, but if they catch you, they will do massive damage. Avoiding him, we enter a room containing a researcher's letter. This is a letter written by John to a very familiar character in the Resi universe, Ada. He gives us some passwords and a hint to another password that we will have to figure out. This room also contains a picture with those very symbols that John left on that letter. There's also a black light switch in this room. Turning it on will decode those symbols into letters: tree, apple, man, woman. Remembering what each word is, we turn the black light off and determine that the password is mole. We also find a passcode panel with 3 lights above it for a locked door. We don't know these passcodes yet. We find a computer, log in, and enter the password mole to gain access to the security systems. We unlock all the doors to the basement, so we can now go and explore those areas. In one of the unlocked rooms, we find a very interesting slideshow. It shows us a bunch of the experiments, enemies we are mostly aware of, except it also shows this T-002 tyrant. We have not seen this guy yet, and at the very end, it displays a picture of some of the researchers involved. Notice anyone familiar? Yeah, if it wasn't clear already, the traitor within the STARS organization is Wesker. He's been working with Umbrella and these heinous experiments. Also in this room contained a lab key. In another room, we found a very convenient passcode output machine. It accepts MO disk, so we insert it and obtain passcode 01. These MO disks must unlock the door from earlier that had the 3 lights above the passcode panel. There's 2 more. Let's try and find them. We use the lab key to enter another area. This room contains a room with another puzzle that looks very similar to the statue puzzles from the mansion. We see an open vent, 2 boxes and 2 drains, and a button in the middle. So we very carefully move the boxes over the vents, push the stairs onto the button, and yes, gas. I guess we didn't cover one of the drains all the way. One of the drawbacks to static camera angles. We try again, and this time don't set off the gas, and we crawl through the vent. In here is another passcode device, so we use a MO disk to get the second passcode. Only 1 more to go. To get it, we have to traverse one of the scariest areas of the game and deal with one of the most terrifying enemies, the chimeras. These creatures were created from abducted women, forcibly implanted with modified embryos, resulting in a fly-human hybrid Umbrella deemed suitable for continued experimentation. What makes them truly nightmarish in-game is how they move. They crawl along the ceilings, jump down on you, and jump at you from angles you never expect. They are incredibly difficult to hit, so our only option is to run. We find a power connection switch for the elevator and flip it on, along with a panel that restores power to other areas that were previously dead. On our way out, we carefully avoid the chimeras, making our way to the final passcode machine and securing the 3rd and last code. We enter all the passcodes into the passcode panel and unlock a door that takes us to a locked cell, and in that cell is a very familiar face.
Chris!
Jill!
Chris, Wesker, he is...
I know. Shoot, it doesn't open. Look, Jill, wait here. I'll save you.
Okay, I'll wait.
Because we just powered the elevator, let's run to it and hit the button to turn it on.
Chris!
Rebecca, you're safe.
I saw you in the garden. I've caught up with you at last.
Well, I'm glad you're all right. Don't go out alone.
Yes, sir!
Chris, as my subordinate, you have wonderful talent.
I would never work for a company like Umbrella. And Wesker, you were formerly with Umbrella.
What do you mean?
Since when have you been an Umbrella agent? And a traitor to the stars?
Now you're wrong. I was formerly with Umbrella, yes. But now I'm prepared to face anything. Even getting rid of you vigilante stars.
Now, the worst possible situation has occurred. The failure of the experiment created a virus, a biological weapon, polluting the entire lab.
No, the worst happened with the tyrant virus. I lost some of my STARS team members because of it.
You killed them with your own hands. Did you kill Enrico?
Really?
Yeah, like this.
Rebecca!
Don't move! If you do, I'll kill you. Chris, I have something to show you. Now, walk.
is this?
That's right. This is the ultimate life form. Tyrant. Chris? Stop it.
Wesker, you're pitiful. This is your savior? You say this failure is your savior?
You could make sure yourself whether Tyrant is a failure or not. Go to hell. Jill will join you too. What? Don't come this way! No!
You can't kill me.
Enter the Tyrant. This fight is actually not too bad. The only thing you're really fighting here is the camera positions. Just keep your distance and use the Magnum. With the Tyrant defeated and Wesker dead, we can now go check on Rebecca. With her bulletproof jacket saving her life, she is now going to go set up a triggering system for a bomb. While she does this, let's go make sure Jill is okay. With the lab being in a class 1 emergency, we can now open the door from the very beginning of this area. In here, we find a battery and a door that needs a battery. Now, at first glance, this may seem reductive, but it's actually very intentional. We place the battery into its slot, and this guarantees that we will have at least one inventory spot, which will be extremely important in just a bit. With the bomb countdown rolling, Jill and Rebecca stay down here to take care of the monsters approaching, while we try and contact Brad from the helipad. Out here we find a flare, so we light it so Brad knows he can come rescue us. Yeah, turns out the Tyrant isn't dead, and he's even stronger than before. This fight is brutal, but it can actually be cheesed. If you stand where I'm standing here, you can bait him to run at you. The moment he charges, quickly move to the opposite corner, and he gets stuck running into the object in front of him. From there, we can shoot through the object to deal enough damage to trigger the rocket launcher. So we sprint to the launcher, aim, fire at the Tyrant, and... To take us back to the question from the very beginning of the video, is the original Resident Evil from 1996 truly scary? Absolutely. From the claustrophobic mansion corridors and substantial enemy types to the clever puzzles and tense resource management, the game keeps you on edge from start to finish. Even with static logic and dated graphics, the fear of the unknown, the constant threat of death, and the careful pacing all combine to create a survival horror experience that still holds up today. This is the game that defined what survival horror could be, setting the standard for everything that followed. Every encounter, every locked door, every monster, it all works together to make you think, fear, and plan your next move. Resident Evil isn't just a game, It's a blueprint for fear, and it shows why the genre it created has endured for decades. Thanks for watching. Remember to take excellent care of yourself, call someone you love, and goodbye!